My name is Corvin Blackwood, and at 38, I've spent most of my life trying to become the kind of man my family never believed I could be. The Blackwoods were powerful, ruthless, and always hungry for control. Yet somehow I was the one who never fit, the quiet son who wanted peace instead of empire. Even now, a decade after they abandoned me and my daughter in the wilderness to die, I still feel like the unwanted shadow of a bloodline I never asked to inherit. And though I've tried to build a new life far from them, there's a part of me that has never stopped waiting for the past to claw its way back. Last night, it finally knocked on my door. It was a little past 9. The house was quiet. A storm was coming, just wind now, but the sky had that gunmetal color that promised worse. Lyra was in the kitchen, half listening to some podcast with her earbuds in, drawing wolves in her sketchbook like she always did when something unsettled her. Then came the knock. 3 soft raps. Precise. No doorbell. No voice. Just waiting. I froze in place. My hand hovered over the edge of the counter. My heart knew before my mind caught up. The knock again. Quicker this time. I stepped to the door and looked through the peephole. And every breath left my body. Ambrose, Serafina, my parents. Their silhouettes were washed out in the porch light, but it was them, older, gray, soaked in that way people look when they've been out in a storm with nowhere left to run. Heavier around the eyes, lighter in their shoulders, like guilt had carved hollows over the years. I didn't open the door. Not right away. Serafina pressed her palm to the glass, lips moving. I couldn't hear her, didn't need to. Her eyes begged. Her hands trembled. I opened the door 3 inches, the lock still clamped in place. Corvin, Ambrose said, voice low, rougher than I remembered. We need to talk. No, I said. You're 10 years too late. He didn't flinch. It's about Lyra. I tightened my grip on the doorframe. Say her name again, and I swear. We didn't come to hurt you, Serafina cut in, her voice rasping. We came to tell you the truth. I laughed hollow. Which part? The part where you left us with no food, no way out, no goodbye? Or the part where you buried the evidence and vanished like cowards? Ambrose shifted, his coat dripping. Someone else was there that night. Someone who wasn't supposed to survive. I blinked. What? You thought it was just us, he said. It wasn't. Behind me, Lyra stepped into the hallway. Her sketchbook slipped from her hands, pages fluttering. I turned too late. She saw them. Her body went still like prey in headlights. Her voice cracked. Dad, is that them? I stepped in front of her, blocking the doorway. Go back inside. But she didn't move. She was staring at Serafina now, her hands curled at her sides, breathing shallow. Why are they here? They're leaving, I said louder than I meant to. Not yet, Ambrose said. He reached into his coat pocket slowly, like someone who didn't want to spook a wild animal. He pulled out a box, wooden, old, scarred, held it up like a peace offering. What the hell is that? I asked. Serafina whispered, it's for her. I looked at Lyra, then at the box. Something about it was wrong. Too familiar, too deliberate. I snapped the lock and opened the door fully. Put it down and get off my property. Ambrose hesitated. Lyra stepped forward. Let me see it. No, but she already had it. Her fingers brushed the lid. Something inside rattled. A faint clicking noise, like metal against glass. Her eyes met mine. Dad, it's my old necklace. I took the box, yanked it open. Inside, the necklace, bent, covered in ash. and a photograph, taken from a distance. Me and Lyra, 10 years ago, sitting by a fire in the forest. There was no one else around, except the camera. The picture had been taken from the trees. Serafina spoke behind me, voice barely a whisper. You weren't alone, Corvin. You never were. My breath stilled. The storm had broken. Thunder cracked above us. Ambrose stepped forward, his voice a low snarl. If you don't let us in, he said, Lyra dies first. The air snapped shut behind them. I locked the door. One deadbolt. Then the second. My hands shook harder than I wanted to admit. Lyra hadn't moved since they stepped in. Her back pressed to the hallway wall. Her eyes, wide, glassy, darted between the two people who gave me life and tried to take hers. Living with fear is like sleeping with a knife under your pillow, my father used to say. He left that knife behind the day he vanished. And now here he was, standing in my kitchen like it was Sunday brunch. Sit, I said. Talk. Ambrose stepped forward first. Serafina followed, slower, her eyes scanning the room like she expected someone else to be watching. I saw it then, paranoia, the kind that sticks after guilt gets old. They sat across from us at the table. I stood. I wanted distance. I wanted control. But control was already slipping. We didn't come to threaten her, Serafina whispered. We came to warn you. 10 years, I snapped. You show up now? Talking in riddles like we're in some damn riddle box. Say what you mean. Ambrose reached into his coat again. I flinched, muscle memory, but all he pulled out was a folded map. Old, creased, red marks, symbols, forest boundaries, coordinates. Lyra leaned forward, the edge of her hoodie brushing the table. That's Absarika, she said. The South Range. I remember the cliffs. There's something buried there, Ambrose said. Not bodies. My fists clenched. He continued. We were told to leave you in a precise spot. Whoever they were, they gave us that map. And cash. A lot of it. The plan was drop you there. Make sure you didn't make it back. My breath locked. Who the hell pays to kill a child? I said. Serafina looked down. Someone who wanted silence. The floor creaked overhead. We all froze. Is someone else here? Ambrose asked. I shook my head. Just creaky boards. Wind. But I wasn't so sure. Lyra stood and paced, eyes sharp. What was in the forest? What did we see that you didn't want us to remember? Silence. Ambrose turned to her. Not what you saw. Who you might have seen. I blinked. You're saying we weren't the only ones out there. There was another man, Serafina said. We thought he died. The fire, it should have finished him. Who? I asked. She paused. His name was Elias Crow. My blood ran cold. Crow had been one of Ambrose's old partners. Timber trade, black permits, gray money. But the man burned in a forest blaze 2 weeks after we were left to die. That's what the report said. That's what Ambrose told me. Now, apparently not. He didn't burn, Ambrose said. He vanished. I laughed short, brittle. You people buried your conscience. Now he's back from the grave. Serafina looked me dead in the eyes. He never left. Something buzzed. Lyra pulled her phone from her hoodie pocket. Frowned. No service, she muttered. But this just came through. She turned the screen to me. A message. No number. No name. They're lying. Don't let them stay. I stared at the text. The hairs on my arms lifted. Fake, I said. Could be spoofed. But even I didn't believe that. The porch light outside flickered. Once. Twice. I stepped to the window. Nothing but black and wet pavement. I want you to leave, I said to them. We can't, Ambrose snapped. If we go now, he finds us first. Then you. Finds us where? Lyra whispered. A pause. Serafina looked up. Anywhere. The man doesn't need roads. I was done. You don't get to play protector now, I said. You gave up that role when you handed us over like garbage. Ambrose stood. Then protect her yourself. But do it with the truth. He slid a cassette across the table. Play that. You'll hear the first voice that planned your death. I stared at it. A Maxell tape. Dirty label. Faded marker. July 16th, 2015. The date. The night it happened. You expect me to believe you held onto this for 10 years? I asked. Not by choice, Serafina whispered. He sent it to us yesterday. The room dropped 10 degrees. Lyra backed up, breath caught in her throat. What do you mean he sent it? Ambrose's voice was hoarse. Corvin, he said. He knows where you live. He always did. Glass shattered. A window. Back hallway. I moved first. Pulled Lyra behind me. Reached under the cabinet for the baseball bat. Old metal, taped grip. My hand found it in the dark, like it was born to be there. Footsteps outside. Slow. Heavy. Measured. Get to the basement, I told Lyra. Ambrose backed toward the kitchen, whispering something I didn't catch. Serafina knelt by the cassette, picking it up like it might explode. Another crack, this time from the front. Then silence, and a voice. Deep, calm, too calm, from the shadows outside. Found them. I grabbed the bat tighter. Basement, I said again, this time sharper. Lyra didn't argue. She moved, bare feet against the wood. Fast, quiet. I followed her to the stairwell, shoving Serafina ahead of me. Ambrose stayed back, eyes on the hallway, muscles coiled. The front window shattered. Glass sprayed. A single boot landed on the hardwood. He's inside, Ambrose whispered. We slammed the basement door, locked it. I turned the bolt just as the footsteps reached the kitchen. Darkness wrapped around us. No lights. No time. We moved by instinct. Down the narrow stairs. Concrete underfoot. The smell of old dust and metal. Lyra's breathing hitched. I felt her hand brush mine, searching. I got you, I said. Don't speak. At the bottom, I hit the floor safe under the old workbench. Metal tools, shelves, paint cans. One single bulb overhead swinging. It hadn't worked in years. We crouched, silent, above footsteps. Slow, measured, intentional. They crossed the floor. A pause, wood groaning. Then another step. Then 2 more. He was checking every room. I turned to Ambrose. He leaned near, voice dry as dust. It's Elias. That's not possible, I hissed. He's been watching you for weeks. A beat. You let him hear? Ambrose didn't answer. A floorboard creaked directly above. Lyra's breath stopped. It was right over us. I pointed to the far corner. A second stairwell led to the garage. Emergency exit. I mouthed the words, go. Now. Serafina moved first. Ambrose next. I shoved Lyra forward. Light steps, barely touching the concrete, like ghosts. I stayed last. Always last. Up the garage steps. Quiet. Door cracked open. No alarm. I cut the outside light, Last week, after a wiring short. Luck for once. We stepped into the garage. Then I saw it. A shadow by the far wall. Someone was already here. A voice, low, guttural. Nice place, Corvin. Real cozy. I turned fast. Swung the bat. It hit metal. Not flesh. The man lunged. Tackled me against the wall. The bat clanged to the floor. My head slammed concrete. Lights flashed in my skull. He pressed something cold to my jaw. A gun. Lyra screamed. That broke him. He turned. I kicked. The gun slid. Ambrose dove for it. Missed. The man slammed him down. I said, no one moves. His voice boomed like thunder in a canyon. Then a new sound. A second voice. Female. Sharp. Close. Drop it, Elias. We all froze. A figure stepped from the open garage door. Lean, soaked from rain. Hood down. Blonde, streaked with gray. She had a gun pointed at his back. Serafina gasped. Harper. Harper? I blinked hard. She was dead. Or so I thought. Harper Lynn. My ex. Lyra's mother. Gone 10 years. No trace. No call. No body. Now here. In my garage. Pointing a Glock at a man I thought was dead. Turn around, Elias, she said. He did. Smiled. You always did pick your moments. I pick survival, Harper said. And right now, you're in my way. I grabbed Lyra. Pulled her close. What the hell is going on? I whispered. Harper didn't look at me. Just fired. A shot rang out. Elias ducked. Missed. Ran. Out the back door. Gone. Harper lowered the gun. Turned slowly. And finally looked at me. Her voice cracked. You need to leave this house. I stared. You were dead. I needed to be. She stepped closer. There's something buried in those woods, Corvin. And I think it just woke up. Harper didn't wait for questions. She holstered the Glock, grabbed Lyra by the wrist, and jerked her toward the side door. We leave now, she said. 10 seconds ago would have been better. I stood frozen. My brain couldn't process the fact that she was here, alive, moving through my house like she never disappeared. But survival has a way of stripping emotions down to instinct. And right now, instinct said move. Why the hell are you here? I demanded. Harper didn't even look at me. Because the man hunting you doesn't stop. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't negotiate. And he sure as hell doesn't miss twice. Ambrose staggered up from the floor, shaking off blood. She's right. Elias has help. That's not news, Harper snapped. You led him straight here. Watch your mouth, Ambrose growled. I'll watch your grave if you don't shut up. The tension between them was electric. Old, sharp, personal. The kind of hatred that comes from history, not rumor. A crash upstairs. We didn't have time. Harper pushed us toward the garage exit. Trut. Now. Lyra looked from her to me, eyes wild. Dad, is Mom really? I'll explain later, Harper cut in. If we're still breathing. Outside, the cold slapped us hard. The storm had grown teeth. Wind howled through the trees like something feral and hungry. Leaves whipped across the driveway. Harper slid into the driver's seat of my truck, like it was still hers. Muscle memory. Familiarity. History I didn't want to think about. Get in. I hesitated. She looked at me in the rearview mirror, eyes hard. You once told me, she said quietly, fear is just the mind predicting pain. I swallowed. I had said that, years ago, on a night when the world felt kinder. Lyra climbed in. I followed. Ambrose and Seraphina piled into the back, trembling. The engine roared awake. Cutscene. Headlights hit the trees, sharp beams slicing through blackness. Harper peeled out of the driveway. Branches scraped the sides of the truck like claws. Where are we going? I asked. Her fingers tightened on the wheel, back to where it started. No, Lyra whispered. Not the forest. We don't have a choice, Harper said. Out here, Elias has sightlines. In there, he loses his advantage. He lives in the woods, Ambrose said. He knows every trail. Harper shot him a look cold enough to crack bone. He doesn't know every trail. He doesn't know my trails. The way she said it made something in my chest twist. You were in those woods? I asked. She exhaled. Longer than you think. The road curved. The storm thickened. Visibility dropped to 20 feet. The wipers struggled to keep up. Lyra pressed her palm against the window. Someone's out there. We all looked. A silhouette. Tall. Still. Standing at the tree line. Elias. Just watching. My heart slammed once, twice, then shot into my throat. Then he stepped back into the darkness and vanished. Drive faster, I said. Harper already was. Cutscene. The highway disappeared behind us. Dirt replaced pavement. Trees closed in. The mountains rose, black teeth against a dying sky. Lyra whispered, I remember this place. Her voice shook. The night you carried me. The cold. The sound of wolves. Seraphina tapped her shoulder gently. You were so brave. Lyra flinched away. A beat of silence. Harper spoke first. Bravery's not the absence of fear. It's walking anyway. Wind hammered the truck. Shadows flickered across the windshield. The deeper we drove, the more my chest tightened. The forest wasn't just a place. It was a scar. And scars remember. Cutscene. We turned down an old ranger path. Roots, mud, loose stones. The truck bounced, rattling all of us. Harper kept one hand on the wheel, one on the Glock resting on her thigh. Explain, I said. Everything. She didn't blink. There's something buried in this forest that didn't come from us. Something your family was involved with long before we met. And Elias wasn't just a partner. Then what? A cleanup crew. One hired to erase mistakes. My daughter's not a mistake, I snapped. Harper's voice softened barely. That's exactly why you're in danger. Lightning flashed overhead. For a split second, the forest lit up in stark, white terror. Trees bent under wind, the narrow path ahead twisting like a spine. And a wooden stake, standing upright, marked with a fresh red X. Lyra gasped. Dad, that's the same mark from the map. Ambrose leaned forward. It wasn't there earlier today. Harper slowed the truck. They marked the route. They're guiding us. To what? I asked. Her voice fell to a whisper. A burial site. Another flash. Another X. And another. A trail of warnings or invitations. Lyra's hand shook. I don't want to go any further. Harper looked at me. Make the call. Fear isn't a decision. Survival is. Keep going, he said. Seraphina whimpered. Ambrose cursed under his breath. Lyra grabbed my sleeve, so tight her nails dug into my skin. The forest swallowed us whole. Cutscene. A clearing opened suddenly. Wide. Silent. Familiar. My stomach turned. This is where we left you. Ambrose said quietly. Lyra's breath broke. Harper killed the engine. The quiet was suffocating. Thick, heavy, unnatural. I stepped out into the cold. The air tasted like metal. Then, something glinted at my feet. A cartridge casing. Fresh. Still warm. I crouched. Picked it up. My pulse thudded in my ears. Harper, I said. He was just here. Branches shifted behind us. A twig snapped. Lyra whispered, Dad, someone's watching. Lightning flashed again, brighter this time. And for one horrifying second I saw him. Elias, standing at the edge of the clearing. Not alone. A second figure beside him. Dadir, broader, smiling. Harper stepped forward, gun raised. But Elias spoke first. You should have stayed dead in that forest. Harper fired first. The gunshot cracked through the clearing, a violent tear in the storm-soaked air. Elias dove sideways, rolling behind a fallen trunk. The taller figure beside him didn't flinch, just stepped back into the tree line like he'd been expecting the bullet. Move! Harper shouted. Lyra clung to my arm, nails digging into my sleeve. Her breath was sharp, panicked. I shoved her behind me and scanned the shadows. Nothing. Then everything. Branches rustled. Footsteps circled. The forest wasn't quiet, it was listening. Harper reloaded. He's not alone. I told you. I told all of you. Ambrose gripped a rock like it could save him. That taller man was that. Don't say it, Serafina whispered. Lyra trembled. Who is he? Their silence answered for them. Fear tasted metallic on my tongue. A voice echoed through the trees, low, taunting. You brought the whole family. How thoughtful. Elias. No eyes on him, Harper whispered. He's moving. Fast. A twig snapped behind us. Cut scene. I spun. Too late. Something slammed into my back and sent me crashing into the dirt. My vision flickered. Mud filled my mouth. Lyra screamed. Serafina begged. Harper cursed. Then the weight lifted. I rolled. Fists ready. Back gone. No weapon. The clearing spun. Lightning flashed. Elias stood 10 feet away, breathing like a man savoring the moment. My job was simple, he said. One father. One child. 2 graves. Clean. Efficient. You didn't finish the job, Harper snapped, raising her gun. Elias smirked. I wasn't done tonight either. He lunged. Harper fired. Missed. He tackled her. They crashed into the dirt, rolling, fists flying. She was fast, but he was brutal, efficient. Every hit calculated, every move trained. Ambrose tried stepping in. Elias backhanded him so hard he flew into a tree trunk. Serafina let out a strangled cry. Lyra grabbed my sleeve again. Dad, stop him. I charged. Cut scene. He saw me coming, blocked my punch, slammed my shoulder into a rock. My arm went numb. Pain shot lightning sharp through the bone. Still weak, Elias said. Just like before. I spit blood. Come closer. Find out. His eyes glinted. The taller figure emerged then. Not Elias. Someone else. Broader. Colder. Watching. No movement. Just a presence that made my lungs seize. Harper managed to get to her knees. Don't let him get near Lyra. Elias turned his head toward her. Why do you think I'm here? A chill hit me so hard it felt like drowning. Lyra. He wasn't after me. He was after her. For what? I asked, barely breathing. Elias smiled, a slow, sick curl. For what she inherited. Ambrose groaned from the ground. Don't say it. I will, Elias said. She's the last bloodline they couldn't control. Lyra shook her head fast. Inherited what? I don't have anything. You have everything, Elias said. You just don't know it yet. Another lighting flash. The tall figure stepped forward. Finally visible. A face I didn't recognize. But Ambrose did. His voice cracked. Rowan. Rowan Blackwood. My uncle. Dead. 20 years. I staggered backward. That's impossible. Rowan smirked. Your father always lied to you, Corvin. Death is an easy trick if you know who's paying for it. My heart hammered. My skin crawled. Harper whispered, That's the man who hired Elias. The world tilted. Rowan stepped toward Lyra. She stepped back. He smiled. You look exactly like your grandmother. Same eyes. Same spine. Same curse. Stay away from her, I said. He lifted a hand like he was shushing a child. If I wanted her dead, she'd be dead. I want what belongs to me. What the hell belongs to you? Harper spat. Rowan tilted his head. Blackwood inheritance laws are older than the state of Montana. Land, rights, mining contracts, the kind of things people kill for, or bury children for. My pulse spiked. So you wanted me dead? No, Rowan said softly. I wanted her dead. Lyra couldn't breathe. Why me? Rowan's smile widened. Because you're the one written into the succession clause. The firstborn of the surviving line takes everything. And Ambrose registered you without realizing the consequences. Ambrose flinched, fear tearing through his face. Rowan continued, a child inheriting hundreds of millions? Dangerous, hard to manipulate, easier to remove. Lyra's voice cracked. You tried to kill me when I was 9. Rowan shrugged. Children die in the woods every year. Harper raised the Glock again. Not tonight. Elias tackled her before she could fire. Cut scene. They rolled. Mud. Blood. Shouts. Harper slammed her elbow into Elias' jaw. He staggered. Rowan nodded once. Enough. Elias froze. His eyes locked on me. Rowan pointed at us. Bring them. Elias charged. I grabbed Lyra and ran for the trees. Branches whipped my face. Roots tripped my feet. Lyra's breath came out in sharp sobs. Harper screamed my name. Ambrose shouted. Seraphina prayed. Elias closed distance like a predator. His footsteps pounded closer. Closer. Lyra stumbled. I caught her. Too slow. A hand grabbed my shoulder. I swung wildly. Hit nothing. Elias whispered in my ear. You can run, Corvin. But you're going back to the forest either way. I shoved Lyra ahead. Don't look back. Just run. She ran. I turned. Elias stood 10 feet away, smiling. Lightning split the sky. A single thought sliced through me. If he gets to her, she doesn't survive a second time. Then Rowan's voice echoed behind us. Bring them alive. He wants them breathing. Harper screamed, Corvin, move! I grabbed Lyra's arm and sprinted deeper into the dark, the storm swallowing us whole. The forest swallowed our footsteps. Branches whipped at our faces as we sprinted through the dark, storm-lit maze. Lyra was ahead of me, running like she had fire in her lungs. Harper flanked her on the right. Ambrose and Seraphina trailed behind, stumbling, terrified. Elias's voice chased us, calm, certain. You can't outrun a man who knows your blood better than you do. I didn't look back. Not this time. We broke through a wall of brush and stumbled into the valley clearing. Moonlight slashed across the ground. The old ranger station, what was left of it, leaned crooked, eaten by rot. The same place Lyra and I survived 10 years ago. Full circle. My chest tightened. Harper grabbed my arm. Inside. Move. We rushed toward the door. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Rowan. Waiting. Like he knew every step we'd take. His voice was soft. Almost gentle. Corvin, I wasn't planning to kill you tonight. I only needed the girl. Lyra moved behind me. Rowan tilted his head. Do you know why your parents abandoned you in these woods? My breath caught. I know enough, I said. No, Rowan murmured. You know the lie they let you live with. He stepped forward, hands in his coat pockets. Calm. Controlled. The forest wasn't the execution, he said. It was the test. Lyra's voice quivered. Test for what? For worthiness, Rowan answered. For succession. Harper snapped. You tortured a child. Rowan didn't blink. Survival is the oldest inheritance. If she lived, she deserved the bloodline. I clenched my fists. She was 9. And she passed, Rowan replied. A twig cracked behind us. Elias emerged from the trees, bruised, bleeding, smiling. He wiped mud from his jaw. Told you I'd bring them. Rowan nodded. Good. Then let's finish this. Harper lifted her gun. Rowan shook his head. Don't bother. You won't shoot me in front of the girl. Lightning slashed the sky. Rain hammered down. Elias lunged for Lyra. Cut scene. Harper fired. Not at Rowan. At the ground. The bullet hit the fuel canister by the cabin wall. Flames burst upward. A wall of fire. Elias stumbled back. Rowan snarled. Idiot. I grabbed Lyra's hand and ran her toward the creek bed below the clearing. The fire spread fast, wild, hungry. Harper shouted, Go! I'll cover. A gunshot cracked the air. Harper jerked. Fell. Lyra screamed. I lunged toward her. Too late. Rowan's second shot hit the dirt beside my hand. He aimed again, then froze. Lyra stepped between us, hands shaking, eyes burning. Stop, she said. Rowan tilted his head. Move, child. No, Lyra whispered. I'm not running anymore. Her voice didn't break. Not once. Rowan lowered the gun, surprised. In her eyes I saw it, the same steel she had in that forest 10 years ago. The same quiet fire that kept her alive. A line came back to me, one I'd whispered to her as a kid, trying to give her courage she never should have needed. Courage isn't not being afraid. It's walking anyway. She was walking now, straight into the fire, straight into fate. Rowan studied her. You're stronger than your father. Lyra shook her head. He's why I'm strong. Rowan blinked. A beat. Then a crack of metal. Ambrose smashed a shovel into the back of his skull. Rowan collapsed. Elias roared and lunged. I met him mid-stride. We crashed into the mud, fists flying, teeth clenched, adrenaline burning through my bones. His punch struck my jaw. My knee slammed into his ribs. He grabbed my throat. Everything blurred. Lyra's scream. The fire. Harper's blood. My heartbeat pounding in my skull. Elias leaned close, breath hot on my face. You should have died in those woods. I forced out, not without taking you with me. I reached up, grabbed the rock beside my hand, swung. Once. Twice. Elias dropped. Silence. Just fire crackling. Rain falling. My own ragged breath in my ears. Ambrose dragged Rowan away from the flames. Seraphina stumbled toward Harper, crying, shaking. Lyra collapsed against me, and for a long moment the world stood still. Cut scene. The aftermath wasn't cinematic. It was paperwork, statements, recovery. Harper lived, barely, after a long surgery in Jackson. Elias didn't. Rowan survived, but the courts took everything he'd built. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder. The Blackwood inheritance, laws died with his empire. Ambrose testified. Seraphina testified. Evidence stacked itself like stones around Rowan's grave. And Lyra? She walked out of that forest a second time. Not as prey, as heir to nothing but her own future. Sometimes late at night, she asks me why people break the way they do. Why families choose bloodlines over blood. Why survival feels like a punishment instead of a gift. I tell her the truth. Some people chase power because they're terrified of being powerless. But the ones who survive are the ones who choose something else. She asked what I chose. I said you. A year later, our new cabin stands far from the old one. No inheritance. No legacy. No shadows that whisper in the dark. Just air. Sky. Freedom. Lyra paints sunsets now, fiery ones with streaks of gold. She says they remind her of the night the fire in the clearing almost took us. But it didn't. Not this time. I stand on the porch with her, listening to wind move through the trees. Not dangerous. Not haunted. Just alive. She leans her head on my shoulder. We finally made it out, didn't we? Yeah, I whisper. We did. And somewhere deep inside, a truth settles. The kind that takes a lifetime to understand. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who walks back into the fire for you.